Over the last 4 episodes, we have reclaimed stories that were left and almost forgotten in the margins of the motorcycle community. In the previous video, you learned about Ben F. Hardy, the custom builder behind the Easy Riders choppers. Now let me tell you about the man with the vision for the iconic 1969 film with Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper on those legendary choppers cruising across America. It defined a generation and became a symbol of counterculture freedom. But what if I told you the whole idea, the name, and even the bikes themselves came from a man who was almost completely erased from the story? A man who was a Black Power activist, a documentary filmmaker, and a pioneering biker in the African American motorcycle community. Today, we're uncovering the incredible story of Soney Vaughs, the true Easy Rider. He was born in Boston on April 16, 1937. He was one of the few African American students to attend the Boston Latin School, which he excelled at and would later move on to join the Marines in 1953. He tested so high he was scheduled for flight training and sent to a base in Pensacola, Florida. He was immediately rebuffed by the CO of the base, who turned him right back to Boston, refusing the possibility of a black pilot on his watch and an integrated flight training school. Instead, they transferred him over to work as an electronic technician. After 3 years of active duty, he would find a job working at the Boston Navy Yard on the cruiser as a technician on its radar installations for guided missiles. He would go on to get his bachelor degree from the University of Boston and then further pursue his education by riding his Triumph from Boston down to Mexico just to attend the University of Mexico and get his master's degree. He had family and friends living in Cuernavaca, as well as some buddies from the village Acapulco he would hang out with on weekends, like future F1 racing legends the Rodriguez brothers Pedro and Ricardo, who seemed immune from the law's attention while driving unregistered Formula racing cars on the streets of the District Federal. In the early 1960s, he was deeply involved in the civil rights movement as an activist with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or CSE. This is where his path first crossed with Danny Lyon at a demonstration in 1964. Lyon was a photojournalist famous for documenting biker culture and whose work Hollywood used to make the 2025 movie The Bike Riders. Two worlds colliding, the fight for racial equality and the emerging outlaw biker scene. Vaughs was living in both of these worlds. He was a proud member of the Chosen Few, one of the first integrated 1%er motorcycle clubs in the United States, founded in Los Angeles in 1959. For Vaughs, riding wasn't just a hobby. It was a statement. His passion for justice and storytelling led him into filmmaking. He started making documentary films, and his first major work was What Will the Harvest Be? This powerful film, narrated by his friend and fellow activist Julian Bond, chronicled the rise of the Black Power movement in the South. It featured incredible interviews with giants of the era, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Stokely Carmichael, the man who popularized the term Black Power. Vaughs was right there, camera in hand, documenting one of the most important social shifts in American history. He was capturing the raw energy and the voices of a revolution. After his documentary work, Vaughs moved to Los Angeles and landed a job at the radio station KRLA. This is where fate stepped in. One day, a young actor named Peter Fonda walked into the station. The two of them lived nearby in West Hollywood. When Fonda met Vaughs and learned of his incredible ideas for films and passion for motorcycles, he was captivated. Vaughs wasn't just a rider. He had a unique vision for what a chopper could be. The two men struck up a friendship. Bonded by their shared love for motorcycles and the open road, it was this friendship that would plant the seed for a cultural phenomenon. So where did the name Easy Rider come from? It wasn't from Fonda or Hopper. According to Danny Lyon, the title was Soney Vaughs' idea. He drew inspiration from a 1928 Shelton Brooks song. In fact, long before the movie was even a concept, a girlfriend of Vaughs had made a small tapestry that hung in his home. It had the words "Where has my Easy Rider gone" sewn onto it. That phrase, rooted in Black American jazz music and culture from artists such as William Christopher Handy since 1915, stuck with Vaughs and eventually became the title of the film that would define a generation of rebels. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about where the true soul of the project came from. Vaughs didn't just name the movie. He was the creative force behind the two most famous motorcycles in cinema history, Captain America and the Billy Bike. Alongside another builder, Ben Hardy, Vaughs brought these iconic choppers to life. He designed them, sourced the parts, and helped assemble them. These weren't just props. They were fully functional works of art, embodying the spirit of freedom and individuality that the film aimed to capture. Peter Fonda himself said that when he saw the bikes Vaughs and Ben had built, he knew they had a movie. The visuals were that powerful. The long, raked-out front end of Captain America, the stars and stripes on the tank, it was all born from the vision of Cliff Vaughs. On a trip coming back from Oregon with Buddy Miles, the famous African-American drummer, and Larry, Cliff's bike had some issue that made them had to stop and get it fixed. Larry Marcus recalls a guy came out and slowly touched both our bikes all over with his hands. We thought it was pretty weird, but it turned out he was blind. He made all sorts of comments about the bikes. He knew Harleys very well. He was astounded at the amount of rake on the Captain America bike and asked, "Is that how you build them now?" We replied that it was all the rage coming from the African American side of the fence of the chopper scene. Initially, Vaughs was supposed to be a co-producer on the film. He helped craft the story and was deeply involved in the pre-production. Two crucial scenes was deleted that would have completely changed the film's racial dynamics and its true legacy. The scenes, which were actually filmed, had captured Fonda and Hopper broken down on the side of a road. Suddenly, a group of bikers, actual members of the Chosen Few motorcycle club, approached them, and another where the two are riding across country and breaks down on the side of the road, and a group of about 50 black motorcycle members pulled off the road when they saw them. The two white protagonists are tense and a little scared, but the tension breaks when the black bikers ask if they could help out, both times simply offering them tools and gas, the code of real bikers on the road living free. The scene was meant to show a moment of camaraderie, challenging stereotypes and reflecting the reality of the integrated Los Angeles biker scene that Vaughs was a part of. It was a groovy moment, as they'd say, showing unity in the counterculture. But that scene never made it to the screen. Tensions flared on set. There were creative clashes and power struggles, primarily between Dennis Hopper and Cliff Vaughs. Ultimately, Vaughs was fired from the project he had helped create from the ground up, and after he was gone, that powerful scene with the Chosen Few was cut from the final film. Along with it, any other significant presence of African Americans was erased from Easy Rider movie scenes. There were no black actors with speaking roles and no black crew members credited in the production. The film that was supposed to be about freedom and breaking boundaries ended up reinforcing a very old one. The deletion of that scene had a lasting impact on the culture. By removing the presence of African American riders, the film presented a vision of chopper culture that was exclusive to whites and foreign to blacks. For decades after its release, the image of the long-hair biker riding a motorcycle became synonymous with white rebellion. It completely ignored the diverse and integrated roots of that deleted scene in the chopper and motorcycle community, especially in places like Los Angeles, California, where black motorcycle clubs helped play a huge part in pioneering the culture. Had that scene remained, it could have profoundly altered the perception of biker culture. It would have shown the world that building and riding choppers was not just a white man's game. It might have cleared away the racist associations within the motorcycle community, where for a long time now it has held a place where it has never been tolerated or accepted. For years, Cliff Vaughs' contributions were largely forgotten. The official story of Easy Rider centered on Fonda, Hopper, and writer Terry Southern. Vaughs became a footnote, if he was mentioned at all. He continued to live a fascinating life, working on other film projects and even teaching in the Caribbean. but he never received the credit or the financial rewards he deserved for his foundational role in one of cinema's most important films. It's a classic story of a black creator being pushed out of their own creation, their legacy whitewashed and their impact minimized. It wasn't until decades later, thanks to the work of historians and journalists like Danny Lyon, that the truth began to surface. People started asking questions and digging into the real story behind the film. Slowly but surely, Cliff Vaughs' name began to re-emerge. We learned that the soul of Easy Rider, its name, its iconic bikes, and its original ideas, and more so its inclusive vision, all came from this brilliant black activist, filmmaker, and biker. Like in the scene where Billy is shot off his bike, is a perfect example of art imitating Cliff Vaughs' past life, the true story of Cliff riding his chopper in deep segregated Arkansas in the 1940s with a white female staff on the back of his motorcycle when a pickup truck going the opposite direction stopped, turned around, and took shots at them but missed as they got away. His story is a powerful reminder that history is often written by the victors and that we have to actively seek out the voices that have been silenced. Cliff Vaughs passed away in 2016, but his legacy lives on. It lives on in the roar of a chopper's engine, in the fight for social justice, and in the ongoing effort to tell the true, complete history of our culture. The next time you see that iconic image of Captain America on the open road, remember the man who built it. Remember Cliff Soney Vaughs, the real Easy Rider. At this time, we would like to pay respect to these individuals who also helped play a part in the Los Angeles chopper community and were pioneers in their own art form. Buchanan's for fabrication, Dean Lanza for artwork, Larry Hooper for upholstery, Jim Magnera of MC Supply, and Larry Marcus for mechanic and knowledge of choppers. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. Until next time, ride safe, stay NaTTii, and we'll catch you on the next ride.